This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, welcome to Live Bet Sunday right here on VSiN. I'm Marc Malusis, Will Hill, of course. Will, how are you, buddy? How are you doing today, buddy?
Mark, I'm okay. I guess from following your Twitter, I'm not as good as you are because it looks like you had a hell of a day yesterday with the Derby. But it's good fun. Fun 3 hours ahead here. It is kind of strange though, isn't it? Sunday, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast. No NBA game, no NHL game. Usually they go out of their way to get one in this time slot. But should be a fun show previewing all this stuff and going through all the baseball and everything.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, we're going to have a good show. We're going to keep you informed, up to date, no doubt. And we've got a lot of baseball going on right now. We'll begin there here momentarily, but we got a couple game sevens, with the Rockets and Warriors down in Houston later on tonight, and obviously on the ice with the St. Louis Blues and the Winnipeg Jets, which is, I mean, game sevens, if you're a sports fan, is what you sign up for when you look at these series, because everything's on the line. Win or go home, as the old cliche goes, Will. There's no doubt about it. We had one great game seven last night, one that was an absolute doozy, as James Harden and the Clippers basically folded up tents and said they wanted no part of it in Denver against the Nuggets. But Denver marches on in the Western Conference. Unbelievable third period down in Dallas as the Stars rally back from 2-0 down against the favored Colorado Avalanche and win that game 4-2 with the empty netter late. So hopefully we get a better basketball game tonight. Hopefully the hockey game is good as the one that we saw last night. We got a ton of baseball. Yes, yesterday was a good day. I have come so close, and I'm a big ponies guy, and we were talking a little bit off the air. Like, I love horse racing. My kids will watch it with me. As you saw yesterday, I posted a video on X, and I love sovereignty, but it's been a while. It's been probably about 5 years since I've had a Derby winner. And I grew up going to the racetrack with my dad and my uncle and going to Belmont and Saratoga and Aqueduct. And I've been to the Derby on a couple of occasions. Finally, to have a horse come home and cross the finish line first, it felt really, really good yesterday. And hopefully everyone out there who bet on the Kentucky Derby was able to cash.
Yes, and look, this is our first time working together, but I followed you for a long time. I have never seen that side of you. I was borderline frightened. Are you okay? What was the come down like? Did you take your winnings and get anything special for dinner? What was the celebration of the victory like?
No, you know what the celebration was? I watched a movie with my kids last night about 9 o'clock, and then was able. They fell asleep, dozed off, and I watched the third period of the Avalanche and the Stars. That was so there was no special. It's not like I walked out winning like $20,000, but it was a good win nonetheless. And the fact that sovereignty, it's amazing. He was going postward at 9-1, gates open. He's 7-1, click down, but still, I mean, a tick up from his morning line of 5-1. So it was a good win all the way around. However you hit it, I know Samich tweeted out, and he had the superfecta, which cashed, I think, for $1, a tad over $1,600, something of that nature. The exact I thought was a little bit short, the trifecta, but a win's a win, as they say, right? I'd rather be cashing than trashing. And oftentimes, Will, when I'm at the track, I trash a lot of tickets. And yesterday was not one of those days where I was able to cash some tickets. So it was all positive all the way around.
Yeah, horse racing is one of these sports in terms of the betting. It's like golf, where you get some long numbers, you got some close calls, some missed calls, or some missed where you got guys in golf that finish second, or same thing with horse racing, where it can break your heart. So when you finally break through and win one, it's a great feeling. I was happy for Samik too. I saw him; he was on all of these shows all week, wall to wall. I had him on my podcast. He's like, "Hey, this is my Super Bowl." So for him to be able to come on the network, come on all these shows, and give that out was really good for us, good for our listeners. I saw our listeners cash some good tickets, so that's always good to see. Do you have any takeaways? Have you started to look at the Preakness? Do you think there's anything to take away from this race going forward? Is Sovereignty a Triple Crown threat, or not necessarily?
You know what, Will, I'm not so sure. I know Bill Mobb was on record saying that they want him to have a long career, so they'll see if they take on the Preakness. It's really the rare occasion that a horse wins the Kentucky Derby and then doesn't at least take a shot at the Triple Crown. But we're in a weird time in thoroughbred racing, so sometimes I would not be all that surprised. I wouldn't be stunned. I'd be surprised if he did not run the Preakness. But we'll find out in the next like 2-3 days, 4 days probably, and see how the Preakness field starts to develop and unveil itself, and hopefully we can make it 2 for 2 here in the Triple Crown. Let's talk a little baseball, Will.
Sure.
We were chatting a little bit before we hit the airwaves right here on VSiN about the Yankees right now trailing the Tampa Bay Rays. They're in the bottom of the 6th inning. They're trailing Tampa Bay 5-2. The bottom third of the Yankee lineup is downright terrible. If you like the Yankees and think they're going to mount a comeback, they're plus 680 right now. The Rays are minus 1100 to win the game. Tampa came into this series struggling, haven't gotten swept, lost the first game of this series, battled back late to win the game, an ugly affair yesterday in the afternoon, 3-2, and jumped out early this afternoon on Will Warren. They led this game 5-0. We've gotten a Bellinger 2-run home run, but right now the Yankees trail 5-2, bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, and I'm curious your thoughts, big picture of the Yankees. It's a watered-down American League, so for us to sit here in May and say, oh, the Yankees, they're not winning anything this year. They're not one of the elite teams, but they've got holes in the rotation. Anytime you're throwing Carrasco and Will Warren and Stroman whenever he comes back. So they've got holes there. They've got some dead spots in the lineup, but it's an American League where who do you like? Who's great? There's nobody great. All of the good teams seem to be over in that other league, in the National League, which it's really more imbalanced than I can remember in quite some time. When you talk about all those teams in the NL East, the Dodgers, how great the NL West is. So big picture here with the Yankees. I think they're a playoff team. I think they're okay, but they certainly have some flaws. Is that kind of where you're at here with the Yanks?
Yeah, well, we're sharing a brain on that one. I think you're dead on correct. I think the Yankees, if, without Aaron Judge, where would that lineup be? Stanton's still not healthy, still not being a part of it. Goldschmidt has been a welcomed addition. Jazz Chisholm on the IL. Volpe now banged up with the shoulder. Wells is hit and miss offensively. He does a good job handling the staff. Bellinger chips in when he can offensively. I don't think the starting rotation outside of Max Fried is particularly good or one that you can trust on. Rodon's been good, but he's more of a bully pitcher, and he can lose it against quality teams. Then you look at the back end of the bullpen, they've already taken Devin Williams out of that closer role. But, Will, I think you hit upon it where the American League is not particularly deep. The American League is not particularly good when you look at quality baseball being played. The Yankees have got some time, but I don't think there's any doubt about it that they have to improve this team. Not just the fact of trying to get through the American League, but trying to be better than they were a year ago, which is winning a World Series. They fell short against the Los Angeles Dodgers. But there is no question the National League is decidedly stronger as compared to the American League.
Yep, it's not even close. And from a big picture standpoint, again, it does feel like the Yankees kind of missed their window last October in that dreadful 5th inning. And throwing the first game where Cortez gives up a grand slam, and we'll get to some of these other games here in a minute. I did play Logan Webb, by the way, minus 145 to record a win against the Rockies. I think you got to find creative ways to fade the Rockies, because winning minus 400 is just not sustainable on an everyday basis. So I did lay Webb minus 145 to get a win here at DraftKings. But yeah, it feels like the Yankees missed their window. That first game where Cortez gives up the grand slam, they blew leads there to fall behind 1-0. They eventually fall behind 3-0 in the series. And who knows? Judge was starting to get hot. He drops the pop-up. Volpe makes the error. Then Cole forgets to cover first base. If they get out of that inning up 5-0, they're going to Game 6 in LA, and then who the hell knows? You're one win away from a Game 7. And Judge at his age, Cole at his age with his contract scenario, they don't spend like they used to spend. You just wonder if they're going to be back there this year or anytime soon. It feels like a big missed opportunity the more you look back on that.
One game that just got underway, the Tigers and the Angels. Detroit, a minus 186 favorite in this one. They're 21-13 on the season. The total in the game is sitting at 8.5 as they're in Los Angeles taking on the Angels. And about a half hour from now in Cincinnati, the Reds taking on the Washington Nationals. The Nats are a slight favorite at minus 112. The total in the game is sitting at 8.5. Anything you like, Will, when you're looking at Washington and Cincinnati?
Nothing I played. If I was going to play anything, it would be Washington, but I'd only play him in the first 5 money line because Gore is really good. I don't trust that bullpen. Martinez is hit or miss. So again, I want no part of that Washington bullpen, but I think Gore is tremendous. So, and I don't know how what your habits are like in this baseball betting, but I really like to isolate it to first 5. I don't want to sit there and sweat out the whole 9 innings. I don't like when these games go to extras with the ghost runner and things like that. I want to bet starting pitcher and their lineup for starting pitcher and their lineup. I don't want to sit here and again, if you're going to bet the full 9 innings, you got to really study whose bullpen is rested, whose bullpen has guys that pitched previous days. That's a whole nother task. It's very time consuming. It adds so much kind of variance to it. So if anything, it would be Washington on the first 5 money line, which I think is pretty cheap, right around -115, -120. Did that game catch your eye, or any of these other ones that are about to start?
Yeah, I would take Washington. I'd trail you in that one. I like that. The first 5 against Cincinnati today with Gore on the mound. Martinez, the starting pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. I kind of in agreement with you, unless I think there's a decided advantage when I'm looking at the bullpens with one team in terms of playing 9 innings, because you're looking at a big time commitment, even with the pitch clock, even with games being down where they're being relatively played under 3 hours as compared to 15, 20 years ago where games are going north of 3.5 hours. The time commitment is not as great, but I think it does add extra homework to it. So if you're looking and saying, well, I trust the starting pitcher, even though starting pitchers don't go as deep into games, but if I'm playing the first 5 innings, I understand what I'm getting there as compared to the relative nature of getting into the back end of the bullpen. I want to remind everybody that we're taking you right up until 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight. It's Marc Malusis and Will Hill. Tommy D is going to join us, talk a little Knicks basketball coming up in hour number 2. So looking forward to that. We got a couple game 7s tonight. We got a hockey game tonight, and we've got a basketball game tonight, no doubt about it. And we've got some late baseball. It's a tremendous day of sports action, Will.
It really is. Again, it does feel weird to not have a game Sunday, 3:30, 4 o'clock Eastern in this window. I'm not sure why they put everything so late, but a lot to look forward to for sure.
There's no doubt about it. It is Live Bet Sunday. He's Will Hill. I'm Marc Malusis. You're listening to VSiN. Stay tuned.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Live Bet Sunday, Marc Malusis and Will Hill with you right here on VSiN. A lot of baseball going on right now. Top of the 7th inning, the Arizona Diamondbacks leading the Philadelphia Phillies 7-5. The Tampa Bay Rays have extended their lead over the Yankees. They're in the top half of the 7th inning in the Bronx. The Rays right now leading the Yankees 7-2. The St. Louis Cardinals, they're in the top half of the 9th inning. Man on for the Mets. The Mets trailing St. Louis. First game of a doubleheader. The Mets trailing the St. Louis Cardinals 6-5, and they're in the top half of the 9th inning. Game that just went final, the San Diego Padres knocked off the Pittsburgh Pirates 4-0. Bottom of the 8th inning, the Kansas City Royals on the road in Baltimore, leading the Orioles 9-6. The Cleveland Guardians leading the Toronto Blue Jays 4-3 up in Toronto. They're in the bottom of the 8th, but the Toronto Blue Jays right now threatening a little bit with 2 men on and 2 out, and a 3-2 pitch coming up to the Toronto Blue Jays. The Milwaukee Brewers leading the Chicago Cubs 4-0. They're in the top half of the 8th inning. The White Sox trailing the Astros 4-3. They're in the top half of the 6th inning. The Texas Rangers leading the Seattle Mariners 6-1. They're in the bottom half of the 6th inning. And the San Francisco Giants just took a 1-0 lead on the Colorado Rockies. They're home against the dreadful Colorado Rockies, leading them 1-0. They're in the bottom half of the 1st inning. The Rockies and White Sox, they know a lot about bad baseball so far this season, Will.
How many games will the Rockies win?
That's a great question. What they win? They won 5 through the first 30, right? They went 5-25 through the first 30.
I think that, yeah,
something like that.
2 in a row,
I mean,
Thursday
that's a
and
third.
Friday. They actually, yeah.
I mean, do you think are they going to go 40? Are they going to go 40 and 122?
That's about the number.
Like, think about this.
You know, like, it might be 38, 39. It might not even get to 40. I know we overreact. It's a long season. Even the worst teams win a third of the games. All those things, they stink. And people are going to, once the deadline comes, people are going to pick off the relievers and position players, whoever you'd want from that team. It might be like a 38, 39 win team.
like right now, I mean, you can't give away tickets to go see the Colorado Rockies play baseball. I mean, it's just terrible. And I don't understand, like, and they came into this one, they were plus 520 on the money line. The San Francisco Giants were minus 850 on the money line. Like, what would lead you to believe, to tell you, like, I think there's an edge taking Colorado today on the road in San Francisco against the Giants? And that's not like what we do here at VSiN, but still, that's kind of an overarching problem. And how do you, for Major League Baseball, is the competitive nature and the haves and the have-nots. Like we were talking a little bit earlier, Will, about the decided difference between the American League and National League when you're looking at the upper echelon quality. Now you look at it, or the overall competitiveness in the sport. Really specifically, when you're looking at baseball futures and you're looking to put down some and make an investment, there's really only maybe 7 or 8 teams that you realistically could think about investing in that could potentially go out there and win a World Series. That's it.
Yeah, and it evens the playing field, which I actually don't like. It evens the playing field, the new playoff format where all of these extra teams get in. Then it's best of 3 and best of 5, and you get like a Texas-Arizona World Series of a couple years ago. But no, there's a big gap. I do wonder, a couple years down the road here. I think it's the year after next, maybe, if they ever push for a salary cap and we're looking at a strike, a lockout, that kind of thing. I hope not, but it's definitely a hairy situation here as the Mets are trying to tie the game against the Cardinals. One out man on second, but they hit a fly ball. So now 2 out man on third as they have clawed back here against St. Louis. No, it's a major issue. It's really a major issue. Florida, I mean, the Marlins, the Rockies, some of these teams are just, like you said, they're bad and they're not even trying.
Yeah, we got 3 games of baseball that have yet to get underway. The Washington Nationals on the road in Cincinnati. Gore and Martinez, the pitching matchup. The Nats are slightly favored, minus 112. The total in the game is sitting at 8.5, and that's sitting even at minus 110. Will gave you the pick. He likes the Nats first 5 with Gore on the mound, and I'm going to trail him on that one. The Mets have a doubleheader after the rainout today, or yesterday in St. Louis, a doubleheader today. Tyler McGill gets the ball in the second game whenever this game goes final. The Mets are a minus 146, minus 136 favorite right now. The total in the game is sitting at 8.5 as well. Anything you like in between the Cardinals and the Mets? Second game.
Yeah, I'd play the Mets if anything. I might actually end up playing the Mets here. I think, especially if they lose game 1, I think they'll probably bounce back and get the split. McGill's been really good. Stearns and the Mets, I know he was there before Stearns, but Mets have just a habit of turning what's the saying with chicken salad? I mean, they can really get the most out of these pitchers. We saw it last year. We're starting to see it this year. And McGill's got good strikeout numbers. I remember he started an opening day, I want to say 3 years ago, back when they had that Scherzer DeGrom team, because Scherzer and DeGrom were both hurt, which was a theme when they were there. And he kind of fell off after that, but he has really bounced back. His expected numbers are good. His advanced stuff is pretty good. And you got to feel good with where you're at with the Mets. I know you're a New York guy. The fact that you've had this good of a start and Soto has not gotten going yet, I think Soto's the last guy I would ever worry about. It just comes with the territory of signing big contracts, especially what was $700-800 million. He's going to be fine. As the weather heats up, he's going to heat up, and they're going to get Manaea back. So big picture, I'm high on the Mets, and they do lose here game 1. So I think game 2 is a solid play here for the Mets.
That has gone final in St. Louis. The Cardinals hold on and thwart the Mets' threat in the top half of the 9th inning and win that game 6-5. McGill will get the ball to start the game 2 in St. Louis, which will probably be getting going about half hour to 40 minutes from now as that game just went final. I agree with you. I think, the Mets, everyone wants to focus in on the struggles of Juan Soto. The fact that they've gotten off to the great start, I think that's the right way to look at it, Will, that they've gotten off to the start without Juan Soto hitting a ton. Says everything you need to know. Dealt with injuries with Alvarez, dealt with an injury with McNeil. Not only are they going to get healthier in that starting rotation, they're also going to get Frankie Montas back when you look at those starters too at some point during the course of the regular season, who they added in free agency. One more game later on tonight, 7-11 Eastern time. The Los Angeles Dodgers on the road in Atlanta taking on the Braves. May and Elder are your starters. The Dodgers are minus 136 favorite. The run total is sitting at 9, leaning toward the over at minus 120. Anything with the Dodgers and Braves, Will?
Seems like a pretty cheap price for a Dodgers team. Then look, it's the Dodgers. You're only laying minus $1.35. Elder is not good at all. He got roughed up his last time against the Rockies. He's just, the advanced numbers are not kind to him. So maybe a Dodgers team total over. I lean towards an over in the game too, because I know May's got great stuff. He's got the wiffle ball stuff. As long as he can stay on the mound, which has been an issue for him. He's he throws really hard. Everything moves, but he's walked a lot of guys. 5 starts this year. He's got 3 walks in 4 of the 5 starts. So Atlanta struggled the past couple of days, just as it seemed like they were coming back to life. But we know the bats they have, the bats the Dodgers have. So should be a good Sunday night baseball game. It'll get lost a little bit with all the NBA and the NHL, but Dodgers team total over, just a game over. It'd be a lean towards the Dodgers. Nothing I've played, but those are the 3 that I'd look to circle. I think probably of all of the 3, a Dodgers team total over is something that I would like the most. Is this a game you have any interest in?
Yeah, Dodgers have won 7 straight. The Braves, who got off to that horrific start to begin the year, they've lost 3 in a row. Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. The Dodgers take the field. I don't really necessarily trust May, but you're right about Elder. He hasn't been particularly good when you're looking at it from a Brave perspective. If you're going to take advantage and take a more talented Dodger team, which I think they are as compared to the Atlanta Braves, and you're only laying $1.36, that's really not a bad investment overall. So I don't disagree with your assessment there as far as the Dodgers and Atlanta. I'm curious, is this, you mentioned team total over. Would you look at the over in the game as well, sitting at 9? It's juiced to the over at minus 120.
Yeah, I like the over more than the under. I'll put it that way. I could see some runs being scored here.
All right, Mets and Cardinals, second game going to get going in a little bit. Washington Nationals and Cincinnati Reds are going to get going bottom of the hour, right around 4:30. The Reds are a slight underdog in this one. At home, Martinez and Gore, your pitching matchup. The total in the game is sit at 8.5. And Will, you mentioned it before in terms of why you like the Nats first 5 with Gore on the mound today against Cincinnati. For the audience that maybe didn't catch that or looking to dabble in late, that game gets going in about 6 minutes. Why do you like the Nats early in this one?
It's all just a play on Gore, and I want to play the first 5 because I don't want any part of the Nationals bullpen, which has been shaky to say the least. So again, I don't mind when I'm playing the first 5. I don't mind 2-2 after 5. You know what? I push, I get my money back, and I go about my day. I don't have to sweat out the ghost runner or a bad bullpen or bad beats, things like that. You know what? 2-2 after 5, I take my refund and I go about my business because you know what? If it's 2-2 after 5, I don't like the Nationals for the full game. It's the same thing like when Skubal pitches. You know, I want Detroit on the first 5. Now they're better this year overall. But you get the idea in past years where you've had really good pitchers on bad teams. You want the first 5 because you want the starter. You don't want the rest of the team. You don't want the bullpen.
Smarter bets start here and last all year long with VSiN Pro. For a limited time, we're slashing the price of our annual subscription, normally $240, just $199. And when you sign up today, we'll throw in 2 extra months for free. That's 14 months of VSiN Pro for less than 50 cents a day when you use promo code PRO, P-R-O. Get 14 months of access to our daily best bets from VSiN hosts and guests, exclusive splits from DraftKings and Circa, 24/7 live video, and full show replays on the VSiN Watch app, plus all of our special edition betting guides. Head to vsin.com/subscribe now and use promo code PRO to lock in 14 months of VSiN Pro for just $199. That's vsin.com/subscribe. You're listening to Live Bet Sunday. He's Will Hill. I'm Marc Malusis, right here on VSiN.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Welcome back to Live Bet Sunday right here on VSiN. Marc Malusis and Will Hill with you. Got a lot of baseball going on right now, Will. A couple of games have already gone final, but the Arizona Diamondbacks right now leading the Philadelphia Phillies 7-6. They're in the bottom half of the 7th inning. How about the Tampa Bay Rays? Break them up. They're right now minus 20,000 to knock off the New York Yankees. They're leading the Yankees 7-2 in the top half of the 8th inning as Cookie Carrasco is in for mop-up duty for the Yankees in the Bronx, and that's not a positive sign. The Kansas City Royals leading the Baltimore Orioles on the road 11-6. They're in the bottom half of the 9th inning. How about the Cleveland Guardians leading the Toronto Blue Jays on the road, top half of the 9th inning, looking to extend that lead. Men on first and second, 1 out in the top half of the 9th inning. And right now, if you like Toronto to maybe rally, they're plus 630, and see what happens with the Guardians here. there in the top half of the ninth inning. Top 9 as well. The Milwaukee Brewers leading the Chicago Cubs 4-0. How about the Chicago White Sox? They've rallied a little bit, leading the Houston Astros 5-4 in the bottom half of the 6th inning. The Texas Rangers leading Seattle 6-1, middle of the 7th inning. Early in this one, San Francisco, the Giants on top of Colorado, the dreadful Rockies 1-0 there in the top half of the 3rd. The Tigers and Angels got underway a little while ago. That's scoreless in the top half of the 2nd inning, and just about to get underway out in Cincinnati, the Reds and the Nationals. And then we have 2 more baseball games yet to get underway. Back end of the doubleheader in St. Louis, Mets and Cardinals. Tyler McGill on the hill for the Mets, and the Dodgers and Braves tonight in Atlanta. Elder, May, your starters, with the Dodgers a -136 favorite.
Yeah, and just scrolling through these scores as you read them. Texas leads 6-1 over Seattle. DeGrom pitched a good game. He's ERA's down to 2.6, 5 innings, only 1 run, only 3 strikeouts. So, yeah, you don't really worry too much about DeGrom as long as he's healthy, and those numbers are good. But it is unusual to see DeGrom not getting the strikeout numbers. 5 innings, 3 Ks is an unusual line for him.
Yeah, that is. You're right. But, and you've looked at Jake, and, you and I both live on the East Coast. And for the baseball fan, when he was at his quintessential peak, I mean, he was the best pitcher in all of Major League Baseball. The velocity was going up and utterly dominant. But unfortunately, Will, when you look at it, the body couldn't hold up, right? And so he's been oft injured for the last 3 years. But you're right. When he is right, he is a swing and miss guy. He's not a guy that's pitching to contact. Excuse me.
Yeah, maybe
he's not a guy that's pitching to contact.
No, you're 100% right. And maybe without looking at like the radar gun for today, maybe this is just what he has to do to stay healthy, where, you know what, I'll sacrifice a mile or 2 miles an hour in fastball. I'll pitch the contact more. And you know what, I'm not going to be the 12, 11 strikeout guy per start, but I can stay healthy, because we haven't seen him healthy for 3-4 years, basically since the COVID year or right around there. So as long as he's healthy, I'm rooting for him to be healthy too. I mean, I do have a future on Texas, but just as a fan of baseball, man, it's just so sad to see wasted talent. What's that line from A Bronx Tale? The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Not that he's wasted talent, but for him in the prime of his career to have all of these missing seasons, it'd be good to see him finish his career strong and have a good 2-3 healthy years of DeGrom.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We got a couple NBA games that are one game. A series is getting going. Eastern Conference semifinals, 6:00 tip in Cleveland, about 90 minutes from now. The Cavaliers, heavily favored in the series, heavily favored in game 1. Number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, taking on the Indiana Pacers. They're an 8.5-point favorite, -390 on the money line. The total in the game is sitting at 229.5. Will, when you look at this, and then we'll get to the game 7 that you're going to see this evening, an 8:30 Eastern time start in Houston. The Rockets, a slight 2.5-point favorite. They were a 3-point favorite yesterday, so money coming in on Golden State. They're -142 on the money line. The total in the game is sitting at 206.5. But to the Cavaliers and the Pacers, as that series gets going underway, Kenny Atkinson has done a remarkable job. Donovan Mitchell, and obviously you look at Darius Garland and that dynamic backcourt for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Went on long winning streaks. Is there an argument to be made for Indiana here? We were talking a little bit about Boston and New York, and we'll get into that as this show goes along here over the next 2.5 hours. But what about Pacers and Cavaliers game 1 tonight in Cleveland?
It's tough for Indy because these teams are very similar. They both play small. They both play up-tempo. They're both good on offense. They're very similar. The problem from Indiana's perspective, at least the way I see it, they're both similar, but Cleveland's just a better version of Indiana. So to me, I could see a scenario, and I actually think the 8.5 might be a little too heavy tonight. If I had to take it or lay it, I would take it. I don't know that Indiana can get enough stops, especially when you go to the bench and you got the bigs like Bryant and Toppin, these guys. I just think Cleveland's got a lot of weapons on offense. It's interesting. You can look at a lot of things 2 ways. Is it good for Cleveland that they beat Miami basically by 1 billion points in the 4 games combined, or was it too easy and now they're going to have to play a real team here and it's going to be a different level of speed for them? I wouldn't lay the 8.5. I would take it, but I do think this could be a situation where Cleveland wins a 5 or 6 game series. And to me, I'm torn between the 5 or 6, but a lot of the games are closer. I just think ultimately Cleveland's going to score too much for Indiana. If instead of laying the 8.5, if you like Cleveland, I think a better way to attack it would be the team total over, because it's a high total to begin with, 229.5. But if you just isolate the Cleveland team total over, I think at home, rested against this Indiana defense, which does have some holes, I could see Cleveland lighten up the scoreboard. So to me, toss up Cleveland in 5, Cleveland in 6. I'm back and forth. But I do think Cleveland is going to win this series. I don't think Indiana is really alive to win it. Do you agree or disagree with any of that?
Yeah, well, I would agree with you. I think there are a couple of things working against Indiana. I think, their half-court defense, and you look at the proficiency when you look in the Cavaliers' half-court offenses, they're one of the most proficient the NBA has seen in quite some time. The Cavaliers obviously being home. The rest, I agree with you. I don't know if it's necessarily good that you go as untested as they were in that Miami series, because that was like the cliche goes, like a hot knife through butter. I mean, the Miami Heat showed you that they just weren't willing, strangely enough, Heat culture and all of it, weren't able to compete with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I like the Indiana team. I think they got to get out there and run. I think if the Cavaliers are able to play this game at their tempo and pace, and not saying that the Cavaliers can't run with them. I think that's the only way, though. Indiana needs to maximize possessions. I think they got to get the possessions up, and I think they got to get to the open court. And if they're able to do that, I think they can hang with Cleveland. I don't think they can beat them. Like, I think in the Eastern Conference, I think we're ended up on a collision course with the Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. They were clearly the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. I don't think what Cleveland and Kenny Atkinson were able to do in the course of the regular season was any sort of a mirage whatsoever. I think ultimately that's what we're going to get in the Eastern Conference. I think Indiana has a better shot of making Cleveland sweat than the Knicks have a better shot of making Boston sweat.
Yeah, and I think I'm guilty of underselling Cleveland for a lot of the year. You know what changed my mind a little bit, where at least I thought twice about it? Because sometimes you get this in the NBA, you get these regular season teams like the Hawks maybe a decade or so ago, where they put up these great numbers in the regular season, they post all these wins, then they go in the playoffs and they get obliterated by LeBron. I kind of thought Cleveland was one of these teams until they played Boston in Boston. It was like a Friday night game a couple months ago, and they were down 25-3, and they came back and won. And then the way they destroyed Miami, you know what? Maybe they're hiding in plain sight, and maybe we're just, even though they're the 1 seed, this is an underrated team. No, I just think a player prop here. Furthermore, I'm curious what you think for series, what you'd ultimately pick. DeAndre Hunter over 12.5 points. I just think at some point Indiana runs out of defenders and they throw their best defenders at, Mitchell, and Garland looks like he's good to go. And maybe this is a series where Hunter can get going. So over 12.5 points, I think that is interesting for him. So you're picking Cavs in how many games?
I would say the Cavs, I'm going to take them in 6. I'm going to go on the idea that Indiana is able to make them sweat a little bit, take a couple games, but I think I'd be stunned if it got to 7. I would also not be surprised if this ended up in 5. I think you're on top of it saying, the Cavaliers in 5 or 6. I'll go with the idea that I want to see extra basketball, lean on the Cavaliers in 6.
And you can bet these correct series score at all these different books. So Cavaliers in 5 is the short shot at plus 285. Cavaliers in 6 pays plus 450. I'm intrigued, but even though I would slightly lean towards Cavs in 5, Cavs in 6 at plus 450. That's a nice payout. I could see that happening.
Yeah, I could see that. That is a good play out. There's no question about it. We'll get into some player props. And then we got a big Game 7 tonight. Hopefully, we get a better Game 7 between the Rockets and the Warriors than we got last night between the Nuggets and the Clippers. And how about James Harden? Just on a side note here, how about him not meeting with the media after dropping 7 points in a Game 7 on the road in Denver?
It's tough. Get him next year for the Clippers. And you got to feel like with Kawhi's age, I mean, this is kind of the best you're going to get out of Kawhi. Harden. These guys are getting a year older, so they were everybody's darling. Everyone picked them against Denver, and it was not to be, obviously. The Game 4, the Gordon dunk, that really swung it. You could say if they ruled that out, if they ruled that no bucket, Clippers probably rolling overtime because Denver was playing all of their guys all those minutes. It's 3-1 Clippers, and they probably win the series. So those are the margins sometimes. But, yeah, complete no-show from Harden from the Clippers. Bad job.
Whether you're home or on the road or on the go, now there's more ways than ever to tune into VSiN. Stream us live at VSiN.com, the VSiN Watch app, YouTube TV, iHeartRadio, Fire TV, Roku, or Sirius XM Channel 158. You know where you're at. It's Live Bet Sunday. He's Will Hill. I'm Marc Malusis. We got you for the next 2 hours plus. Got plenty of things to get into. Hockey playoffs, NBA playoffs. Keep it locked right here. VSiN.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Welcome back to Live Bet Sunday. Marc Malusis, Will Hill with you. Hour number one. We got 2 more hours to play with after this. A lot of baseball going on. We've got a big Game 7 in the NBA playoffs, big Game 7 in the Stanley Cup playoffs between the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. We'll get into all that and more. But yesterday, Will, was the Kentucky Derby. And in the Malusis household, Derby Day is a holiday. Always circle it. It's a great day for thoroughbred racing. And when I filled in yesterday on Ready, Set, Bet on VSiN Saturday afternoon, I gave out the pick Sovereignty, right? And I was all over the Bill Mott Godolphin trainee. And yesterday, my son, my oldest son Jackson, who's 12, videoed me watching the race as the race unfolded. And I think we have a clip of it. Here we go. Roll it, guys. There we go. Get all fired up. The dog's in action. My dog Chip, my son Gregory, my youngest kid, he's in action as well. We're celebrating as Sovereignty crossed the finish line at 7-1. That's what the Derby's all about, Will.
I'm scared just watching that. Like I said, I've never seen that side of you, heard that side of you. And I don't know if you've gotten this before. With the yelling, the glasses, the demeanor, there's a little like Bob Huggins vibe to you in that video.
I've gotten that before, yes. Bob Huggins. There's also an NHL coach that I think is like working for TNT now. What's his name? I forget the comparison. But yes, I have gotten the Bob Huggins comparison with the hair. I've got like the carports on either side, the way the hair is coiffed. Yes, I've gotten a lot of the Bob Huggins comparison. Yes.
Somebody, maybe a listener, maybe our people at VSiN can put up like a side-by-side. What's that thing from The Office where Pam's like looking at the same picture, then she goes, it's the same picture. Maybe we could put a little side-by-side of Malusis and Huggins. But that's a great hit. It's a great feeling. What made you like Sovereignty? Because I didn't hear the handicap.
Yeah, I just thought, first off, I thought he was coming into the race great. He was training really, really well. And I just liked his prep races down at Gulfstream Park, even running second in the Florida Derby, the way that he was able to rally, getting his main jockey, Junior Alvarado, back aboard after he was hurt, not able to ride in the prep race. Manny Franco rode on board for him. The breeding was not a problem. Always thought he was going to be able to get 1.25 miles. I thought that with the race that set up, Will, I thought there was going to get pace to be able to run into. They went 22 and 46 and change. The only concerns I had was number one, how the track was playing with all the rain and whether or not he was going to be comfortable. And then you need a little racing luck. When you have a field of 19 that goes postward yesterday, trips come into play as well. So was he going to be in the clear? Was he going to have racing luck? Was he going to be blocked? Was he going to be stopped? All of those things. And, Alvarado gave him a great ride and really followed journalism around on the outside and then tipped out right at the top of the stretch. And it was those two. And when they got to the eighth of the mile, it was the two best horses contesting to try and finish first under the, at Churchill Downs and thought Sovereignty was going to outlast them. And he did while I was watching the race. But it was awesome because it's been a while. One of those things, Will, where it's been a while. I'm a horse player that when that is like the Super Bowl, and that's what Kentucky Derby Day is for horse players. It is the absolute Super Bowl, and it's a great card that Churchill Downs puts out. And I haven't cashed a Derby ticket probably in like 5 years because I ran, Zandon. There's been many a horse where I've come close. I just have not been able to cash a ticket. So you get a little nervous when you don't cash in a while. You're worried about like how big of a cold streak are you going to be on? And so when he crossed the finish line, regardless, people are like, oh, how much you want? It doesn't like just to cash the ticket is like, and being right on the race to me is great, and I won a couple bucks, which was awesome. And it was a fun day and it was a fun race and it was a great race.
Was that a mint julep fueled celebration?
No, you know what? I hate the mint julep, Will. I was discussing this yesterday. Have you ever been out to the Derby?
No.
Oh, okay. So at some point in time, and I know like at some point in time, you got to make the trip out to Churchill Downs. It's one of those things. It's like a slice of Americana, the Kentucky Derby, Daytona 500, Indianapolis 500. I've never been to a Daytona 500. I've never been to an Indianapolis 500, but I've been to the Derby. I've had the mint julep. I think the mint julep's terrible. I gotta be honest with you. Like it does nothing for me. It really doesn't. Like I'm more of a beer guy and a wine guy than I am having a mint julep. Like you give me like an Arnold Palmer, like that's delicious. Like a spiked Arnold Palmer, like that's delicious. A mint julep, I tried one when I was out in Louisville. It was disgusting. I got to be perfectly honest with you.
I have never had one, but that seems to be the consensus. It's a lot of negative feedback. I was doing the show, I think, with Matt Humans during the week, and we were discussing them, and they're not as popular. So they became popular somehow, so somebody's drinking them. But the feedback we got, they don't seem to be. It seems to be more of just a tradition than people actually enjoy the drink.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's update you a little bit on the baseball. The Arizona Diamondbacks are leading the Philadelphia Phillies 7-6. They're in the top half of the ninth inning. How about the Yankees showing a little bit of rally? They're in the bottom of the eighth inning. They're leading the Rays 7-5. They have a man on first and 2 outs. Tampa Bay at one point in time was a minus 20,000 favorite. They're down to minus 720 to win this game. If you like the Yankees to continue the rally, they're plus a 450. Anything that you're seeing with the Rays and the Yankees here, Will?
I thought about the 4-1. It's just they seem to be on the down part of the lineup, right? Who is up right now? That's the question for me. Because I'm looking at them, it's hard for doing the show because they just had bases loaded, nobody out, and they hit into a very unusual 4-6-3 double play, or was it a one? It was an unconventional double play. I know they were not able to get a run across in that scenario here, as they've scored 4 times here in this inning. So Rice is pinch hitting, tying run. He walks. So now Peraza comes up as the go-ahead run. I don't know. Is this enough for you? I know the Tampa bullpen is shaky, but plus 340 when you're still down 2 runs, I would think about it, but not quite enough bang for your buck to actually pull the trigger. Do you agree or disagree?
I would not pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Peraza coming up to the plate, men on first and second. They're down to 7-5, bottom half of the eighth inning. You're telling me anybody else? I'm not pulling the trigger with Peraza at plus 360.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. And you got nobody else to pinch hit here. I know Peraza can get into one, but nice rally for them. And this was, 7-2 not that long ago. So 3 runs and a chance here with 1 swing to take the lead. This would be a hell of a win for them. So we'll keep our eye on that for sure.
The Guardians leading the Blue Jays 5-4. They're going into the bottom half of the ninth inning, or they're in the bottom half of the ninth inning. Or did that game? No, they are. Blue Jays are threatening, trailing the Guardians 5-4. Seventh inning, the White Sox leading the Houston Astros right now 5-4. Also in the top half of the ninth inning, the Texas Rangers leading the Seattle Mariners 8-1. San Francisco Giants on top of the Colorado Rockies 2-0. They're in the bottom half of the fourth right now. If you like Colorado to rally in this one, and they are dreadful, Will, you're getting plus 900. The San Francisco Giants right now leading Colorado 2-0, bottom of the fourth. They're a minus 2,500 favorite.
They're just putting up a big red stop sign saying, you know what, we know what you're thinking. We know you want to bet the Giants. We know you want to throw them in your parlays. Don't do it. We're going to make you pay and pay extra. So, with the extra money you got in your pocket, maybe you can lay that kind of price here with the Giants. But, man, they are really making you pay a steep price to fade the Rockies, which, hey, when you're as bad as they are, that's going to happen. By the way, the Yankees do not score any further. So 7-5 heading into the ninth. Tampa leads the Yankees.
Ready to get in on the action? First Bet has you covered. Sign up now to access exclusive promotions and bet on hundreds of thrilling horse races every day right from your phone or computer. Visit firstbet.com. That's the number 1, stbet.com. Use promo code VSIN200, VSIN200 to score a 20% rebate on all your wagers for the first 60 days up to $200. Don't miss out. Start betting today at firstbet.com. That's 1stbet.com. We got game sevens tonight in the National Basketball Association. One, another series gets going in about an hour from now. That is the Indiana Pacers on the road against the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's the Rockets and Warriors at game 7 down in Houston. We'll get into that game. Also, a big game 7 in the Stanley Cup playoffs as it's the St. Louis Blues and the Winnipeg Jets. And we got all kinds of baseball action as well to get into. And the late game tonight is the Atlanta Braves hosting the Los Angeles Dodgers. Dustin May on the mound. They're a minus 136 favorite. He's Will Hill. I'm Marc Malusis. You're listening and you're watching Live Bet Sunday right here on VSiN.